Hello and praise God, our viewers, wherever you're watching us from. It is yet another wonderful time that the Lord has granted unto us, that we may come to you live from wherever you are on Prayer Cave TV. Thank you for keeping it Prayer Cave TV. The Lord grace you with utmost love, grace, and continuity so that you will continue standing with us and the Lord will keep you through. This is Keeping the Faith show, and this is where we have always promised you that the Lord is doing great wonders in our times, the God of the Bible, and our work is to demonstrate at our times that this is the case. In the event anyone has forgotten or one has a tendency to think that the Lord of the Bible is not at work today, we come to demonstrate that very fact. And we thank all of you who have been following up on us on our channels in the YouTube, Facebook, and all other online platforms, even on Prayer Cave TV through the SMS platforms, the WhatsApp platforms. Keep continually engaging with us. Let us know your feedback, what you would like us to do better. And if you have a story or a testimony you would like to share with the brethren and believers, please do not hesitate to reach unto us. Call us on those lines on your screens and let us know your feedback. Once again, today we have a very special moment, a very special guest as well, who will be telling us through her journey, a healing journey of faith and a walk with God. Someone who has seen the hand of God snatching them away from death, from the moments of darkness and death, and bringing them through a healing journey. And today she's standing to testify of the Lord's goodness in the land of the living. And we will be going to listen out to her journey, her faith moments, her low moments, and to see what God has been able to do. And our prayer is that you will be touched, inspired, and your faith will be increased, and you will keep the faith even in your lowest situations. Please help me bring on board our guest today, a powerful woman of God, Elizabeth Wangari. Many people know her as Teacher Liz. She's a children's development worker, and she's doing a great work in the lives of children, especially the needy ones and those that need special care. So help me welcome Elizabeth.
Wow.
Karibu sana.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Evans.
Karibu.
My name is Elizabeth Wangari Mwangi, and I am born again.
Mm-hmm.
I love Jesus as my personal savior.
Oh, yes.
And I am a teacher, not by profession, but by the way the people that I reach out to call me.
Mm-hmm.
I work as a child development worker.
Yes.
In a church.
Okay.
And so the children call me teacher.
Yes, this is where we talked about you being popularly known as Teacher Liz.
Yes.
Wanakujua sana kama Teacher Liz.
Wananiita Teacher Liz.
Yes.
Wazazi wananiita mwalimu. And I am glad.
Great.
I'm glad to be here. I thank God for this opportunity. You know, the Bible says that let the redeemed of the Lord say so.
Oh, yes.
Let those that the Lord has redeemed, you know, talk about his unfailing love and his wonderful deeds for men.
Oh, yes.
So God has been good to me. He has delivered me from the jaws of death, as you have said.
Yes.
And that is why I'm here, to talk about his unfailing love for me.
Wow.
For his glory.
I'm so grateful that you are able to make a time. I know it's not easy because your schedules are busy. So even finding time for us here, we really appreciate. And we know that God has a purpose for this.
Yes.
And your journey is an inspirational journey.
Yes.
And also one that has lessons that can actually encourage someone, especially someone who has gone through what you have gone through. So let's start from the very beginning. You have told us who is Teacher Liz, Elizabeth.
Yes.
Maybe we can start from somewhere at the beginning. Then maybe we can start by knowing your journey, how you began your walk with God, your journey of salvation, maybe.
Yes.
And we can also look at maybe a little bit at what you do. What does it mean to when you say you are a children development worker. So let us get to know a little bit from there on, maybe.
Okay. I'll talk about how I met Christ. I was in college. I was in campus, and I come from a Catholic background. So in my life, I had never been in an evangelistic atmosphere.
Or a Pentecostal environment.
A Pentecostal environment.
Yes.
So, but my elder sister has really worked in my life to bring Christ in my life, in our family. She's the pioneer of bringing salvation in our family. So she went to a Pentecostal school, and there she met Christ. So she was able to come and tell us about Christ.
Okay.
But for me, that one did not have it is a seed that was sown, but now I met Christ when I went to college. So I went to college, and I was living with my friend, my roommate. So one day she invites me to a cell group meeting, a fellowship. So I went with her. So when I went there, it's like taking yourself to
the slaughterhouse.
Yes. So I went, and everyone introduced themselves. They talked about their salvation, their testimony. And for me, it was just my name. So one of the brothers who was born again in that group gave himself a mission to come and reach out to me. So he followed me up. He would come to my room every now and then, and he would preach. So he really pestered me.
Until you became the target now for them to convert.
An individualized mission.
Yes.
So one day I sat down and I thought, now this brother has really been on my case. Let me just say yes so that he stops coming so many times.
Yes.
So when he came and he preached, I told him, yes, I want to give my life to Christ.
So for you were giving it out like you just want to get rid of this person. Like,
yes.
You stop him from coming to pester you.
Yes. And God has many ways of reaching out to his people.
Yes.
So I said, yes, I gave my life to Christ. He prayed over me.
He
prayed for me. And there was not much transformation then, but I began, there's something that God did in my life, and the journey of conviction began. So he was in his final year in campus, and the people who he thought would follow me up, they were busy they did not have that burden. So I just gave my life to Christ. Remember, I am a Catholic.
Yes.
So in college, I go to see you. When I go home,
you go to your
go to my
Catholic church.
Yes. So for discipleship, it was a bit difficult, but the Lord helped me. I call it scavenging.
Yes.
I would look for where God is, and I grew.
So even after you gave the life as a way of avoiding the pestering, so there was also a conviction, like you've said,
yes,
which made you now to start thinking about what you have done, or what has happened inside you.
Yes.
And therefore a hunger of looking for God and understanding him better.
Yes.
The God of your salvation came upon you.
Yes.
Is that what you would say happened?
Yes. Because I would go to meetings. I go for services now from my background, and I would compare. These ones are telling me about that my acts of righteousness are as filthy rags. They are telling me it's not about my works. It's about the grace of God. It's by faith. Here it's about works. Then when I weigh, I see there is no way I can measure up. So I would get that conviction. So there would be that pull. There's one pulling me to this side and the other one pulling me to the other end.
Side.
Yes, but God was gracious. So I gave my life to Christ several times.
Oh, so
From there.
this will not be your first time.
No. Remember,
And that is usually a story of many people,
yes.
especially those who have a big walk with God.
I had to give my life to Christ so many other times. They are countless. Because I would go, I hear this new truth, and I would run to the altar. And but there is this time that I really had time to grow. When I finished campus, I started. We call it hustling.
Yes.
Nowadays, we call it hustling.
The hustling.
So I was in this job and it ended. So my sister heard that I have lost my job and I'm just in town, and she was concerned. So she called me to go and live with her. I declined. I didn't want to be a burden. I refused to go. So she lied to me. She told me that that she wants me to go and help her move houses. So I agreed. I went.
So she set up a trap for you.
Yes. So when I went there, I realized she has trapped me. So I didn't have the strength to fight her. I stayed.
Okay.
So and she's married to a missionary, and she would host many young men and women, and they were doing mission work. So when they would come over to her house, and when they were preparing for missions, they would laugh at me. Because now I don't know much about Christianity. I cannot go
You
to
want to
mission
go with them
work.
with the
Yes.
missions.
So I thought I am learned, I have good brains. I could listen to them. I would hear their listening to messages like from TD Jakes, and I would hear them repeat the same messages. And I thought now I will also do the same. In a Keti, I listen, then I also
say the same
play
thing.
back the
Yes.
same thing. I thought that is how it works. So in the process of listening, so I would put those tapes when my sisters go to work and her husband, during the day I would put the messages and I would listen, and I would be very keen.
To make sure that you take your notes and
Yes.
understand what is being spoken.
Yes, so that now I can also do the same. That's how I grew.
Wow.
So the messages now reached out to me. I became very hungry. I would read the Bible. I would take their notebooks. The
After
notebooks.
they have gone in their mission field, and where they
Yes.
have gone, their meetings,
They
they'll come with back with notes.
And the notes that, kama saa ukiwa church, that notebook that you use.
Yes.
I would go to their library and dig out their old notebooks. Ninasoma. So that's how now I grew. I started learning about the finished work of Christ.
Yes.
The meaning of salvation, the blood of Jesus, all that.
Wow.
So that's how I grew.
Great.
Then I would go for conferences. Remember, they were it's a ministry. They would hold conferences. I'd go for conferences. So God used those avenues to help me grow and to draw me closer to Him.
Wonderful. So He says that He reveals Himself to His own people.
Yes.
So that they can now have a journey and a walk with Him.
Yes.
And that's exactly what happened. So
Yes.
He used one person to pester you so that you will start up a journey. You will open up the heart. Actually, it was opening up the heart. So when you started that part, you were telling us about it was a hustling time.
Yes.
So you finished the hustling stage and you got a place. I think the trapping of your sister pulled you to get to have an understanding of God.
Yes.
Then I believe it's also the time when you're doing your hustling work as well. Or looking forward to have a place to work at place.
So when I was still at my sister's, I was called back. I came back to Nairobi and I got another job. I was employed with a catering organization. And I was posted in a place called an organization that was dealing with Bible translation. As I was with another organization in their catering department, but posted there. So when I was there, and I was living with my auntie. So while there, I remember I did not have any church. So far, I didn't have any place I would call my own church.
That you would call our home church.
Yes. So when I was there, I used to decide on Sunday where to go to church. So one day, I went to church. I would go, maybe sometimes I would follow up evangelist Teresia Wairimu. So one day I followed her up in her meeting, and she called out an altar call. She said there are people here who are like street children. They have nowhere they can
have no
call
home.
home. And God is saying you have to have a home and a cover.
Yes.
So I knew I was one of them. So I went forth, and we were prayed for, and we were told to go and look for places and belong. So when I was told that, I didn't know where to start, where to go. I'd go to many churches, but now I was not able to make up my mind. So it took a bit of time. Then I remembered there's a time I was at my sister's, and one of her friends, had come over, and he had ministered to me. I went to serve them tea. You know the way guests come and you are there.
Yes.
When I went to serve them, when they were leaving, he prayed over me. And he told me, when you were coming to serve tea, I saw the glory of God over you. And he gave me a word and told me, God will use you to build other people's lives. And I kept that in my heart, and I didn't know how God will do it. So when I talked to my sister, she told me that man of God had started a church. So I decided I'll go to that church.
You will follow.
So I followed
this man
him.
who has your word.
Yes,
You
he had
will
given
follow
me
them.
a word long back. And now this time I have to belong somewhere. I have to have a shepherd and a covering. So I went. I became a member in his church.
Wow.
So while there, I'm still working. And remember, I'm doing catering. So my work would end at around 3. So I moved out from my aunties, and I started living with a friend. So we were living with friends somewhere.
Yes.
Then I decide I move out from where I'm living. I move closer to my place of work. And at the same time, I am fellowshipping here. And the wife of the pastor was expectant. And she needed someone to be helping her with a little work here and there.
The chores in the house.
Yes. So she requested me to move in with her. I did not agree. I said no. But I told her, give me the toughest days. I can be coming over and help out, and then I go back. Then when I decided to move, the man that gave me a bed sitter ran away with my money. He didn't give me the house, and he did not give me
your money.
My money back. And I had already moved out. I had moved my things, so I could not go back to my previous place. So where else would I go?
You go to a house.
To my pastor's house. So they hosted me, and I started living with them. So when I was living with them, I got a job. I went for a birthday. The girl I was living with had a birthday. She told me she has she requested me to take her to see her boyfriend, her fiancé. They were in the plans of getting married.
Yes.
So she requested me we go and find out where he's living. So we went. Kumbe they had prepared a birthday surprise for me.
Wow.
So while there, I met their friend who had seen an advert somewhere. So akaniambia, I applied for that job, and when I'm still at my pastor's house, later I was called for an interview.
For the same place?
Yes. Okay. When I went, it was a church. I didn't like what I saw. So I told God, hey, I don't want to get a job here. So, but God didn't hear that one.
Yes.
He answered. So when I was busy doing my work, I was called. Nikaitwa. I went for the interview. I had gone for the interview, so I was told I was actually called on a Friday. I was on my way to see my sister. She lives in Nakuru. So I was told, you came for an interview, you passed, and we have offered you the job. Come for training on Sunday. I was told where to report for training.
Yes.
So I went to my sister's place. I told her what had happened. Then I came back early enough. I came on Sunday. Early, I went to the place where I was working. I did the handing over with the caretaker. I took up my things. I told him to. I cleared up where I had kept my things,
yes.
the workstation, and I went now and reported to work. I went
Your new place now.
no, my new place, but we were hosted in a guest house for
Okay.
training.
Okay.
So, and I really saw God because I had become very tired. Now you are going to a very nice guest house
Yes.
and you are sleeping in a very nice bed and eating very nicely. So the journey of what I do now began.
That's how it began.
Yes.
Wow. So this is where now you started out as the children development worker.
Yes. When I was in college, I did Bachelor of Home Economics, Foods, Nutrition and Dietetics. So that's what they called before.
Yes.
In a children development center. But now when you get there, you realize it's more of ministry and more of social work.
True.
So there are things you teach the children. It's like Sunday school, life skills, and you minister to them.
Yes.
So that's how now I started being called Teacher Liz. Now when you are in class, you are teaching.
Yes.
The best title they can use
Is teacher.
Is teacher. So they called me Teacher Liz.
Yes.
And I've been doing that for quite a number of years. It's now since 2005.
It's quite some time, eh?
Yes, it's quite
We are
some
talking
time.
about almost, how many, like 18 years?
Yes,
It's a long time.
it's a long time.
So you are already an expert.
By God's grace.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Great. So I love that journey, and especially the way God is now just directing you. And you're looking at the bulk of the years working in that place. It means that that was a planting of God, so that you are able now to say, this is actually God at work, helping you through every part of the journey. Great. So fast forward, now you are at this place. There is this one particular event, one particular day that the enemy wanted to glorify himself in your life. Tell us about this particular one day.
Okay. It was on a Tuesday, on 18th of June, 2019. We had gone to work as usual, and part of my work is we go to visit the children in their homes. So that's what we did that day. We started the day like usual. We went to the villages, and when we wound up our work of visiting, we decided to board Boda Boda so that we can get back to the office and clear up and go home.
Yes.
So me and my colleague, we boarded, each took their rider. But now I'm told that the one that I hiked, when we got to the tarmac road, there's a specific stretch of road where you cross and you go to the other side so that you can get to the office. When we got there, unfortunately, we got hit.
So you're coming now from your social work in the fields.
Yes.
And you're coming back now on Boda Boda.
Yes.
So at the point you're crossing, this is when you encounter your horrific accident.
Yes. I am usually told we were hit by a Land Cruiser from the left. So, and then I hear that I was, when over the impact, because of the impact, I flew up. When the vehicle hit the Boda Boda
you are riding on.
Yes, I was thrown up. Then I landed on the tarmac. Then it's a busy road, so the vehicle that would have ran me over.
So your bike is hit.
Yes.
You're flown up into the air.
Yes.
And you fall off onto the tarmac.
On the tarmac.
So falling off on the tarmac, there is a vehicle oncoming.
Yes.
So it is not going to hit you up.
No. God was gracious In fact, they were medics. There was a vehicle on board were medics.
So the vehicle that is actually coming at that point, at near knocking you, is actually a medic's vehicle.
Yes.
Wow.
So from Kijabi Hospital. And I thank God for them. If they can remember, they saved a life somewhere.
I think it's God positioning his angels at the time when you need to be rescued.
Yes. So remember, this time when I'm encountering an accident, we had been through a season of long fasting.
A prayer and fasting.
A prayer and fasting season for many days. So my body was weak. We had actually broken the fast that Sunday. So, and you know, when you break a long fast,
you're not able to eat much.
Yes.
It's actually some light meals you will only take.
So I'm hit, and these medics, when they did first aid on me, the first thing they did was to control the bleeding. So I hear they cut off the sleeves of their shirts and they tied my leg. Actually, I had a wound here, a very deep cut. It's like a piece of meat was
slashed out.
Yes, and then the bone was broken. It penetrated through the skin.
Ooh.
So I had 2 wounds down there. Because the way it broke, one bone, I think the leg has 2 bones. One was penetrating from one side and the other one from the other side. So it was just God that...
I'm trying to imagine that picture and I'm already feeling the pain myself.
It was very painful.
Wow. So you said you were told that is what happened. Does it mean that... And I had you mention earlier that you were told and you hear.
Yes.
Does it mean that at this time it's happening, you are already out of your consciousness or something?
Yes, I usually don't remember. But lately, I've been remembering some, like, I can call them clips, have been coming back.
Yes.
But it's like that day was deleted from my mind.
Oh.
I don't remember. So I had an issue of memory for quite a while.
Through that healing process.
Yes, especially
and the treatment process.
The first 2 weeks.
Wow.
So I was hit. They did first aid and they took me to the next clinic, a nearby clinic. And I don't understand why, because they only took care of me. They left the rider there.
So they take care of you. The rider was hit himself? Because it must have been a bad impact.
He was badly hit. I even hear that he left a piece of his leg there.
Really?
So when they took him to hospital, they had to amputate him.
Really? Wow.
So I don't know why they decided to help me and take me to hospital and leave him there.
That is exactly what we are talking about.
Yes,
the angels being positioned to come and rescue you.
And also, I did not have any helmet on me. So someone told me that flying up and landing on the tarmac is usually fatal. When the head hits, the impact of the head hitting the tarmac, that is what kills people in accidents. But the Lord, I believe the Lord sent his angels.
It must have been.
They held me.
I felt like a twitch when you were explaining the way the bones were freaked out of your shell of the tissues. And already imagining that makes you shiver a little bit. But we thank God that he saw you through. So tell us, the medics come, they are taking their shots as bandages to manage the bleeding.
Yes.
So then they took you to the hospital, or what happens from there?
Okay. Now, I thank God for the way he works. He sends those medics. Remember I said it was after a long fast. So meaning if I would have bled, maybe I would be a gone case.
Yes.
I would have died of loss of blood.
Yeah.
But we thank God they took me to a nearby clinic and I was attended to. Meanwhile, my colleague made
the
calls.
one you were, it's because we left in 2 bikes.
Yes.
So him on one and you on the other.
So when he had a bang, then he was told, Chicha, amegongwa. So he came back. And he's the one now who was directing the medics, and he was there with me. They took my stuff. Then he called my relatives. They tried calling my sisters, my siblings, but they were not able to get them. They called my friend. She's one of she's a leader here in church. Her name is Esther Kadondu. She works in Kenyatta University. She was around. She came over. So they were able to reach to my mom. They didn't want to call my mom. They wanted to reach out to my siblings, but God did not allow that. They got my mom.
So they could not be reached. The mom was the one who was reachable.
Yes, and I believe it was God working, because the next person my mom thought of calling was my uncle, his brother. And he was just nearby. He was in a memorial service of his friend, and the service had just ended. Usually does not take phone calls because he's a very busy man. So that day, the moment she called, he picked. And he was like, I am not far from where you are saying she is. Just let them give me direction and I'll be there.
Yes.
And they were with my brother. So they came and they found me at the clinic, and he decided they take me to a good hospital where even after I'm done with the other treatment, my other wounds can be managed.
Yes.
So they took me to hospital. So the ride from that clinic to the hospital,
yes,
I was in the vehicle with my uncle, my brother. My brother is the one who was driving, and my friend. Now.
Yes, your colleague at work.
My friend Esther.
Yes.
Now my colleague, they are in another vehicle.
Yeah, I get it.
Yes, because they had to make me fit in the vehicle. Remember, I'm injured. They don't want to bend the leg. So they had to adjust the seats so that I can lie down. So they took me to hospital, and the ride was very slow. Here it took like 2.5 hours because I was hit at around 5, and I got to hospital at around 7 to 8. It was very slow because any movement would make me scream.
Yes, or any shaking in the vehicle.
Yes, any bump, any roughness on the road would be very painful, and I would scream, I would groan. So and I thank God for my friend. She was there, she was praying for me. I would tell her, pray. Then she would pray. Then she would tell me something. I laugh. Then we talk, and then I tell her again, are you praying? Pray for me again. And she would, I kept her praying all along the journey. So when we got to hospital, and I realized sasa tumefika hosi. So I would be on and off. I am conscious, and it's like, but these things I'm told, I don't remember.
So you don't remember them per se?
Yes, but they tell me how I was behaving. When we got there, I told my brother, now, don't leave me here. The pain is over. We can go home. So I was taken in. I was there at casualty. They came, they attended to me. And I remember now they had to make calls. My siblings now started responding, and they were told what happened. So my brother called. He's a pastor. His name is Pastor Waidaka. He ministers in Machakos. He called me, and I was like, I told him that I am in hospital. I am running up and down. So he was very encouraged, and he tells me he took it as a prophetic
announcement.
Yes. So they took me in, and they took care of me. So the journey of healing began. So I could not go to theater immediately. First of all, they were reluctant to take me
because of your condition.
I had head injuries. Had injuries all over. But the one that was of concern was my head. They thought they may not be able to manage.
Yeah.
So they took scans, and they realized I am okay. Thank God for that first miracle.
Yes.
My head was okay, so they took me in. The other issue was I had lost a lot of blood. So the blood work they did showed that I could not go to theater immediately. So I was given blood. I was given the first 3 pints of blood. Then the minerals, the electrolytes. There is one that was not, the level was not okay. So even after the the blood transfusion, still the levels were not coming up.
Yeah.
So that delayed the theater process, the fast now process of
Mm.
being cleaned and all that.
Yeah.
So my leg was swollen. It was huge. And it started now oozing. Because of that delay,
Mm-hmm.
it got infected.
Yeah.
And it started oozing. Then I thank God, because things that kill people is that infection now goes into your blood.
Yes.
So it is God who kept me. Because even when that infection was very high in my body, the Lord kept me.
Sure.
I did not die.
Yes.
So the levels they worked on me, and they took me to the first theater.
Mm-hmm.
They cleaned me up, and then they took me back to the ward.
Yes.
That ward where I was, it was near the nursing station,
Mm-hmm.
because I was critical, and other critical patients were in the same ward.
The same section of the
Yes.
ward.
So
that the nurses will be able to observe you at all times.
yes, and rush very quickly.
Yes.
So it happened that many people died. Several people died while I was there. But I thank God, because I think He saw that my heart cannot contain some things. So He did not allow me to register the memories of the images of those people who died.
Mm.
I would look to their direction, and I never saw them. And I never used to coordinate many things. But every time someone died, I knew. And I would tell my sister, when she came to see me, tell us, someone, that lady died. And she would tell me, no. I would tell her she died. And then she would find out it's true that lady died.
Yes.
So there was a heavy
atmosphere
of death in that hospital, especially now in that room. Remember, there was a lady who was next in the same room. I'm told she had a diabetic foot, diabetic leg, like a wound which does not heal. So that day, it didn't look like she would die, but she died. So when my sister came, I told her the lady died. And I told her, and then they brought her near where they would work on the body, just not far from where we were.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister tells me, when I saw that, I told her that people who have issues of legs are the ones who are dying here. I am also going to die. I started telling them how I'm dying. And
so the circumstances around you started convincing you that you will be the next
but
one.
there was that feeling, I'm going to die. I don't know, somehow you feel, I felt it is not well with me.
Yes.
I am going to die. So when I communicated that, they were scared. My sister came, she made me renounce those words. Then they started praying for me. They prayed for me in such a way that when the doctors came, when it was time now for them to go, they refused to go, they stuck there. So when they are being told to go, they are busy praying. So the nurses left them. So they prayed until they felt the burden has lifted.
Yes.
So I didn't die. The Lord kept me.
Wow.
Even when that opportunity, when the devil wanted me to die, God brought people to help me.
They stood with you.
So another day, I was feeling the same thing. I would feel like
the heaviness of death around.
Yes, like life is coming out of me. And I am surrounded by visitors. And my colleague had organized a bishop from where I work and the leaders to come and see me. So they are there. We have greeted one another. They are chatting. And he looks at me and he sees this one. Something is not okay. So he talked to me and I told him. He asked me, are you feeling sleepy? I said, no. But I'm feeling some weakness. I'm flickering out. Then he brought them to attention and they prayed for me. And that thing lifted. So even when that darkness came over, the Lord brought his light and he saved my life. So I didn't die.
Oh, yes.
So God is very faithful. Even when we go through the valley of the shadow of death.
That was a true valley of the shadow of death.
Yes. The Lord is with us.
Oh, yes.
He never leaves us. He never forsakes us. So then that time when I was admitted, I refused to eat. I told my sister, no, I'm not eating. We are fasting. Because because now my mind has gone back to that long fast.
That you were from
Yes,
before the accident.
and you know the way someone is usually afraid to break, you know, you don't want to break your vow. So I told her I'm not eating. So she told me, I called your church and I was told you broke the fast. And I was like, really? Yes. Then I you know, my mind is not okay.
It is still, you said it was
on and off. Yes. Then I'm like, who told you? Who did you call? Then she had heard me mention Pastor Mary. She said, Pastor Mary. And I'm like, then I stayed. Then I asked her, where did you get her number? Then wisely she ended that conversation.
She managed you.
And she managed. I started eating. Now you can imagine
you
are
are
going through
recuperating
blood transfusion, and you are saying you are fasting. It was very funny. They were seeing this one. I had her mind is not
mind
okay.
is off.
So if there is a miracle that God did for me, it was to restore my mind.
Yeah.
Then people would come to visit me, and I would send messages. I would tell my relatives, go and tell so and so to come and see me. And she was there.
They just left a while ago.
Yes.
So some people must have been scared that you're already losing it.
Yes.
You are losing the mind.
Actually, I had lost my mind, but the Lord restored my mind.
Yeah.
He had me and He had mercy on me. So I recover. I was taken out to the rehab so that now they can attend my leg. The other conditions have stabilized.
Okay.
So I'm taken to the other side.
So at this time, have they restored back the bones that had been ejected out of the seizures?
No. They just took me to theater and they cleaned out.
So the first operation was the cleaning out process.
They just clean.
For the infections, the oozing and all that. The dirt.
The debris. I hear they took out lots of crushed bones. Yes. Actually, my leg was shorter. I believe God did a miracle because I used to walk like this.
Really?
It was quite short. It was like 1.5 centimeters shorter. Actually, when I went to hospital, they measured the leg. It was 1.5 centimeters shorter. But in the healing process, one day God did a miracle for me.
Wow.
And the leg, He restored the leg. I actually, in fact, one day I was moving in the house. I was holding a flask. And because I'm limping, you limp like this.
Yes.
I hit the flask on a stool and it broke.
Oh.
Yes.
So it was real that you are actually having different hits.
Yes.
Like the foot, the legs were different sizes.
Yes. In fact, I used to get very tired on one of the hip because of the posture.
Yes. So He restored. He increased the 1.5 centimeters.
Yes.
Wow.
So when I was in hospital, I still experienced that heavy spiritual attack, and that heaviness, that atmosphere of death. So especially at night, anytime it would hit 6 o'clock, I would feel the atmosphere has changed. So what kept me going was the word of God. So during the day, I had the kibarua of reminding myself, reading the Bible, researching on scriptures that talk about life, about death, that warfare. So at night, when I would feel that heaviness coming, then I would confess the word.
You would reactivate the words you've been reading and studying through the day.
Yes. And then there is also the bit of condemnation. Because when a Christian goes through trouble, the first thing that comes to your mind is punishment.
Yes.
The devil speaks to you and tells you, God is punishing you for a
what
reason,
you have done.
For a sin. So that the spirit of condemnation is very heavy on you.
Yeah.
And also fear. That trauma makes you very fearful.
True.
Because now you see you had come to the point of death and God has snatched you away. It's a very traumatic experience.
I know, I imagine.
And the pain. And then you don't understand why God allowed it to happen.
To you.
So if you do not, in fact, when someone gets injured, it is not more the injury It is not more the physical
Injury on the
impact,
flesh.
but the injury on your heart.
Yes.
And that is why God says, guard your heart above all things, because that is where life springs from.
True.
So, your heart is the one that tells you you are gone, and now you start declining. Your heart is the one that tells you there is no hope. And it is the same heart that will tell you you have to hope in
You
God.
have to hold on to
So
him.
the assurance of salvation is what you have to hold on.
Very true.
And cling to.
So the night time was almost a time of warfare for you.
It was warfare for me. It was bad. I never used to sleep. It was kesha all through.
Are there times that you felt like you will not be able to make it during that season?
Yes, many times. Because I also, because of the impact, I would feel like the organs in me have been displaced. Like I would feel like the heart where it hangs.
It's not where it is.
So sometimes I would move and I feel like some things are moving. Then the stories I've heard about my situation. Like there's a day a nurse visited me and she told me what kills people when they have broken legs are blood clots. Blood clots are very common with accidents with broken legs and wounds. And I was like, I listened to her. The fear of death
it comes now.
And I would listen, be very keen. I would listen to my body.
Yes, whether there is anything indicating such.
Yes. And it was very traumatizing.
I imagine.
Then I called my sister and now she prayed over me and God lifted that. Fear. That fear would come.
Yeah.
And I would see like I would die. Then another thing that happened, the way they put medication, the intravenous,
yes, the
antibiotics. The first time I was admitted, they would come and they would put that medication and I would feel I'm losing it now, I'm going to die. I'd feel very bad. So when I recovered and I went now to this orthopedic department, I shared with the nurse how I would feel when I would receive the medication.
Is being passed.
Yeah, she told me that particular antibiotic you're supposed to receive over time. It's not supposed to go through your vein once like that. So she told me that nurse was taking a shortcut. That is why you would feel the way you would feel. So now I developed another fear of being
mishandled,
being mishandled and getting now the injection. So I would see a nurse coming, and then another incident happened. A nurse comes in, and she comes with that is of medication, the way they put
the
in
kit. Yes.
The kit. Now I had gotten used to what I'm taking. So when you are in hospital for long, you get used.
Yes.
And I'm looking at what I'm being given. I see this is not the usual.
What you have been used to.
So I tell her, kwani daktari alibadilisha? And she tells me no. So you are Esther. I tell her no, I'm Elizabeth. Kumbe she wants to give me medication for Esther,
another
now my partner. Hey, then I got so scared.
You get scared.
I realized now, kumbe I can be mishandled and die here. So I think I'm getting ill. Wow. So from that day, I would really pray.
Now, this time when you're being taken to the orthopedic section, you have already gone through a second operation?
No, I've been done the first one. They just clean. They remove the debris and they put like half a plaster just to hold the leg.
The leg.
So when immediately I was admitted, I went to theater the following day. Now they went, they did now the major work.
The major correction of the bone.
Yes, they removed the bad flesh and they aligned the bone and put some X-fixes. They call them X-fixes.
Yes.
The tumors to hold the bone instead of plaster. Yeah. So now I cannot get plaster because of the wounds.
The wound is still there.
Yes. I will go back to the ward after the operation. Then after a while, there is infection. Then I have to go back to theater again.
Yeah.
So that was now another process.
So they did at that time?
Yes, at that time. I went now. The first time I realized they were supposed to put a kind of a machine to deal with the infection, to take away the fluids, but the surgeon did not. So I went the second time, they did the cleanup, and they put the machine.
Yes.
Then this other time, the way they put the machine, it didn't work the way it was supposed to work. So the infection came back again.
Came back. So you have
And
to go back
I have
again.
to go back to theater again. So now this second time.
And this is the time when you are already hoping that you should be discharged sooner.
Yes. So this third time I thought now, nikwenda home, I'll be discharged. Then people come to see me. Everyone, the church members, I thank God for the church members, pastors, they would come and pray.
Yes.
But funny enough, there's one Sunday, one particular, after a season of those visitations, that one Sunday they came and they really prayed. They came in shifts. They came in buses, so they had to be put in shifts in your watoshe.
So that they will fit in your room.
So they prayed for me and prayed for the others. So I remember previously, the other patients would ask me, kwa nini uambiangi hao wako wakuwa tuombe? So this particular Sunday, God answered their prayers. So the ones who came, the one of the ministers in our church directed the others. They prayed even for the other people. So that Monday used to be the D-day in a hospital. Would know who is going to theater.
The doctor is coming in that day.
Yes, during the ward rounds, know who is going to theater and who is going to be going home. So the doctor comes and he discharges almost everyone.
There was prayer already yesterday, so imagine. A miracle of healing
even
is already
one
there.
Old man that I did not expect aende nyumbani, he was discharged because I was admitted in a private room somewhere at the corner next to the male ward. So he's ameenda home. My partner now, the one we were with, she's been released. Hey, that one hit me so hard. And then I'm told you are going back to theater.
Oh no.
And hey, I was so discouraged. Then now discouragement hit me. And I started asking God questions. Why did you allow it in the first place? You have all the power, but you allowed it. This one is a small thing for you to heal.
Yes.
And you are not healing me.
And now you're healing others.
You have healed, and those others, I am the one who has made the people who prayed for them to come. So it was so hard for me. So I went out on God, and now I'm crying in the room. My colleague is trying to, calm me down, and I'm like, I'm not even listening. Like, you leave me alone.
Yes.
You don't know what I'm going through. So I'm crying in the room. Then God sent someone. Remember I told you about a taxi driver called Kenyanjui. So he's a pastor by calling.
Yes.
So he had brought one of his clients, my neighbor, to bring their mom. So when the mom was being attended to, he came in to see, and it was at 11
hours.
So he comes and he finds me crying. Then I'm like, I can't continue crying.
Yes.
So I tell them my predicament. Then they pray for me. So I stopped crying, but still, I am very...
You're still sunken.
I am very edgy and very discouraged. So my parents come over lunchtime. I zusha over them because I didn't have a phone. They bring the phone the following day, and it was very hard for me. So I realized I have to go to theater. I tried to negotiate with the doctor.
But you had to.
Please, just observe a few days and let me not go back to theater because it used to be very painful. Then I would be very scared of. There's a needle, that anesthesia, they do it kwa spine. So I would be very scared just in case that needle misses and I become paralyzed. I'd fear that part.
I see.
Then after the anesthesia is gone, when
the pain comes again. Terrible.
Very terrible. I think the bone is very painful.
So they take you to the theater. God comes and does
now before I go to theater, a friend of mine from church comes to visit me, and she comes just before the end of the visiting hours, lunchtime. Then she stays kidogo. The way you stay.
You linger.
You linger around to see whether you'd be told to go away.
Yes.
So I had made friends with with
The
the guards,
doctors and the guards.
the people were there. So they don't chase her away. Then when the nurse comes, you know, the nurses would come, and if they find a visitor, they call the guard. So this nurse comes and finds her. You know what the nurse tells her? Usiende, kaa hapa. I'm not doing much. Nitakuacha hapa, kaa na yeye. Kaa na yeye. So she came, akanipea testimony yake. The way she lost her husband, the way she got ulcers, and the way those ulcers brought her to the point of death, and how God healed her. And we prayed. So when she left, I thought I had a lot of faith.
Yes.
Sasa nikasema mimi siendi
She
here.
lifted up your faith.
And you know, funny enough, I told you my leg was swollen kabisa.
Yes.
Na ilikuwa ina ooze. Sasa ime shrink.
Hapo.
Sasa mimi nimeona miracle ime happen. I'm not going to theater. But now the part that was not cooperating with the miracle was the oozing. So I'm trying to convince the doctor haongei. I tried to talk to the nurse. Namwambia ajaribu. Akaenda akasema I don't want to go to theater. So I had now to make a way of convincing the doctor. I was just airing thinking my fears. So I had to go to theater. So before I went to theater, they changed my medication. I was given very strong antibiotics. They were not selling at uko kwa pharmacy yao, so I had to buy from outside. So the day the doctor decided, he gave me 3 days. Then he was to make a decision that Monday, the D-Day. When the D-Day came, he didn't say anything, so I had to continue with the medication. Very expensive, 3K per dose. So that now I needed a financial miracle.
Yes.
So my bishop comes to see me. And the day I was told he would come tomorrow, I didn't believe, because I didn't want disappointments. But he came. He saw me. Then when he was leaving,
you a bahasha.
The matunda was a kabahasha. Then that kabahasha took care of the medication.
So it was exactly the very amount of money you needed for the dose.
When the money was depleted, I was told now it's time to go home.
Wow.
He also prayed for me. He sensed that my night had lots of battles. So he prayed for me. And he told me, it is God who snatched me from death. I was not supposed to live.
It is God who snatched you from death.
Yes. So he prayed over me. I thought he would cancel the operation. He didn't. So I knew that
you have
one,
to go to the operation
it's a cup
room.
that I have to drink.
Yes.
So I went for the operation. That day my parents didn't come. Usually my relatives would come when I'm going for operation. But the same day, my brother's wife was in hospital also expecting a baby.
So they
decided to go and see her. So they didn't come to see me. But I knew they were with me in prayers. So when I went to theater, I was taken the last person. They actually told me, wewe wa infection, napelekangwa mwisho. So I was taken to theater. Then, funny enough, they allowed music in the theater. Na wakaniuliza nataka gani. So I told them gospel, of course.
Yes.
Then wakasema, they usually pray. Wakaniambia niombe. I prayed. Then when they were done with the theater, nikasikia wanaulizana, they keep records. Ati, what are we going to say? Like they usually say what they have done and the prognosis. Wanaulizana. So I told daktari, doc, andika hapo, perfect. Perfectly done.
Yes.
Na hata rudi theater tena. And that was it. So nikatoka theater, nikarudi, nikawekwa hizo machines, na kutoa the stuff. And I started recovering.
Wow.
But in my mind, hiyo frustration ya kutaka kutoka hospitali ilikuwa imeisha, na I'd already surrendered to God. Nikamwambia now have your way.
Yes.
So nikiwa huko I'd pray. Hizo night times za attacks, I would pray for people. Then I would really feel for those. Unaona mtu like there's that old man. It is the son who used to come and see him. And you look at the son and you are like, no, this is the best person amekuja kumuona. And they cannot even believe for him. You know, they don't even know Christ.
Yeah.
So I would really feel for him.
And you would pray for them as well.
And I would pray for him. And one day I decided to go and encourage him. So I hang on the walker and I go. I start now engaging him. when I'm just about now to share, to tell him how God loves him, I feel like I'm going to fall. Na sijazoea kutembea. So, and now there is a cleaner who was very good to me. Akaniona, akaniuliza nini ni mbaya? Akaniambia hebu kwanza kuja. So he told me go and kwanza sit down. So I ended my mission. I went back to my room. And then nikatulia. So God, that is how my journey was. So it
must have been it was a period of
1.5 months.
He's such a great God. We are here to testify of God's goodness in our times, what he did for Elizabeth. And he can do it for you wherever you are. The spirit, the testimony of Jesus, the spirit of prophecy. May this happen to someone who is in such a situation today, to be encouraged. Wow, we would have wanted to hear more of what God is doing and what he has done, the journey he has taken, that it's very inspirational. And of course, it's also very touching. And we thank God that you are able to share with us your testimony. May the Lord continue blessing you. So we will end it there, and maybe I know God will give us another time we come and testify of what he has now done with the scar now completely gone. I mean, the number of miracles you saw in that part was great. And so thank you very much. We thank God for what he has done. And to you, our viewers, we thank you for keeping it with us, for following through with us, and may the Lord continually bless you. This is Keeping the Faith Show, and I'm your host, Evans Waithaka. Keep it Prayer Cave TV, and we will see you same place, same time, right here on Prayer Cave TV. The Lord bless you mightily.